Hi, I'm the Spicy Wolf. I'm an English major who ended up becoming a video game writer for almost 7 years. Now, I'm a cartoon wolf on the internet. Wolf. So you might be wondering, who the hell is this guy and why is he wasting your precious time on the internet? Well, I'll tell you why. Video games. And to be more specific, video games that matter. As someone who spent a lot of time studying literature, writing for video games, and gaming for hours straight, I'd like to think that I know a thing or two about why a video game is worth your time. While most games are made for entertainment, which is perfectly fine by the way, there are other games that go above and beyond to create these unique, immersive, and artistic experiences while still being entertaining. And that's a pretty hard thing to do if you ask me. So, if you're someone who appreciates the amount of creativity and meaning that can be expressed through a video game, then let's get comfy and waste our time together. Back when I was writing for games, someone on my team asked me, "What game inspires you the most?" Think about the game that has it all. And out of all the titles I could think of, there was one game from the early 2000s that came to my mind, and that was Psychonauts. They weren't familiar with the game, so I explained it to them like this. Psychonauts is a 3D platformer where you enter the minds of weird and wacky people to help them fight their inner demons. This game inspires me because themes of the psyche and struggling with your inner demons are usually pretty heavy subjects, but the game tackles those with both respect and the charm of a Saturday morning cartoon. She's still cheering. Goodbye, guys.
Edgar, look at them. They're too pathetic to hurt you anymore.
Yeah.
Can't you just let it go?
Let it go.
How embarrassing. I can't believe I was hung up for so long over these losers.
I always loved you more.
Bye-bye. Closure is the best. Also, the levels are amazing, and the guy who voices Invader Zim is also the main character. And that guy was the voice of my childhood. Looking back, I could have talked about some big masterpiece RPG or an obscure indie title. Instead, I chose a 3D platformer, and that's not my go-to genre. Now that got me thinking, why didn't I choose something I was more comfortable with? Out of all the games I know, why does Psychonauts matter? To fully appreciate Psychonauts, we must first understand the rich history of psychology and its impacts on pop culture. Part 1. Roots. The birth of early modern psychology, 1879 to 1898. Nah, I'm just kidding. We don't need a 2-hour segue of the history of psychology. However, if I had to tell you why Psychonauts is so special, I'd say it's charming. It has charming visuals and level design, a charming cast of characters, fun gameplay, and a solid story. And the best part is that all these separate features come together, as if they resonate with each other, exhibiting some sort of, oh, you know where this is going, ludonarrative resonance. If you're no stranger to video game reviews and critique, then you'll be familiar with the word. But to those who don't know, ludonarrative resonance means that a video game's narrative and themes align and enhance its gameplay and mechanics, or vice versa. Some would say that it's the secret sauce that makes a game immersive or even artistic with a capital A. But how does Psychonauts achieve this? I'm more familiar with the narrative side of game development, so let's start with the game's story and themes, and then connect it with other elements like gameplay, art, and level design. Psychonauts follows the story of Raz, a young boy who runs away from his life in the circus to join a summer camp that trains young psychics into Psychonauts.
I'll call his parents.
What? But don't you train Psychonauts here?
Yes, darling, but...
To soar across the astral plane. To wage psychic warfare against the enemies of free thought.
That is what I wrote on the front of the pamphlet.
Right from the bat, this premise is already setting up something interesting. It's setting up this spirit of playful experimentation, meaning that the game has certain themes and tropes in storytelling and flips that on its head. So you might be thinking, what the heck are you talking about, Mr. Random Wolf on the internet? Well, let me explain. If you watch cartoons when you were young, there was always this episode where the main character, who's usually a kid, gets sick of staying at home, right? And then, they decide to run away to some fun, faraway place. And it's usually the circus. There's also the summer camp episode where the kids are begrudgingly forced to leave the comforts of their daily life to learn new things and meet new people. This is where Psychonauts turns the tables. Raz willingly leaves his home, the circus, which is supposed to be this fun and wonderful place, for a place of structure and learning, the summer camp. It is a small detail, but it's a pretty interesting and witty subversion if you ask me, and the game is wonderfully packed with these little subversions.
They may come for me, Dogen, but they'll be looking for Raz, the boy. What they're going to find, what they don't expect, is Raz, the Psychonaut.
And then you'll make their heads explode?
No. Do you do that?
What I also love about Psychonauts is that this spirit of playful experimentation extends to the gameplay as well. Raz is a psychic novice who'll eventually learn new powers as the game progresses. These powers will definitely be the spotlight in some levels, but there's a moment in the game where some of these powers are restricted to enhance your experience and immersion. I know it's a given that good games will play around their features to engage you, right? But Psychonauts takes it to the next level by masterfully interweaving these moments with the narrative, and the payoff is immense. We definitely have to talk about the levels of the game to showcase these moments, and as a 3D platformer, levels and level design are what make or break the game. Psychonauts definitely doesn't disappoint and establishes its uniqueness through its spirit of playful experimentation. In Psychonauts, levels are called mental worlds or mindscapes. For consistency's sake, let's call them mindscapes. These mindscapes are physical manifestations and reflections of people's psyche. And as a psychic, you'll be able to explore a number of interesting minds in the game. Through these mindscapes, Psychonauts masterfully executes environmental storytelling and uses that technique to introduce the main cast of characters. Of course, you get to interact with most characters through dialogue, but being able to enter their psyches makes the process much more intimate and interesting. Think about it. We are literally given a space to witness and even experience a character's dreams, aspirations, and fears. What could be more intimate than that? And I think that the very first mindscape we explore, which also serves as a brilliant tutorial level, shows us what Psychonauts is capable of. Enter Coach Oleander's basic braining. In his introductory spiel, Coach Oleander considers every mine to be a battlefield, and that's understandable given his military background. So what do we get for his mindscape? A battlefield, of course. It may be thematically simple, but I'd like to emphasize how stunned I am by the amount of thoughtfulness and detail the devs put into this level. The coach's mind is a boot camp and becomes your literal training ground to learn the basics of the game, such as movement and combat. Key features are also introduced, most notably the collectibles. These are your figments of imagination, emotional baggage, mental cobwebs, and memory vaults. Let me just point out that most platformers feature collectibles. The more you collect these objects, which usually functions as some kind of currency, the more the game rewards you. Mario has his coins and mushrooms, Sonic has rings, Rayman has looms. You get the idea. Psychonauts follows the same pattern, but takes this concept further by integrating these collectibles as part of environmental storytelling. The devs could have added your obligatory shiny coins and call it a day, but they didn't. Instead, we get collectibles related to psychological concepts. Let's take figments of imagination for example. Although they're considered one of the base currencies in the game, their visuals change. They're different for each mindscape you explore, but they also change depending on a specific region within a mindscape. If you take a look at the coach's mind, you see figments of soldiers moving through the obstacle course, paratroopers in a plane getting ready to jump, and warblimps floating around the sky. Having these visual variations for a base currency didn't need to exist, but the devs chose to immerse you, to enhance environmental storytelling. Next on the collectibles list are emotional baggage and mental cobwebs. To be honest, they're not as thematically impactful compared to figments or memory vaults, but they still contribute to a level's immersion. For example, mental cobwebs, which refers to a person's mental state of confusion or lack of clarity, serve as both a collectible and an obstacle. These need to be cleared out as they hinder your access to other important collectibles and key areas within a mindscape. And as for emotional baggage, well, they're just there to be sorted out? I feel like the devs could have done a better job with them, but hey, no game is perfect. Again, I feel like their impact may pale in comparison to other collectibles, but I think they represent the minor obstacles to a clear mind, functioning as little annoying imps in the pockets of our psyche rather than the big bad demons in our heads. Finally, we have memory vaults, which I think are one of the best parts of the game. Once you find these vaults, they'll show you a collection of pictures, a collection of important and intimate memories, whether they be good, bad, or manufactured. That's right, manufactured. Just like in real life, memories aren't always reliable. Sometimes, we choose to remember things differently to keep ourselves sane. A perfect example here would be Oleander's pride. You see this? I mean, the guy isn't even 6 feet tall, but he has these memories ready for display. Now, if you go past these surface memories and leave a little room for curiosity or skepticism, the game will let you explore that. If you're looking for more authentic memories in the coach's mind, you'll find another one trapped behind a mental cobweb. Ooh, foreshadowing. This one's pretty interesting as the memory vault is called Oleander's Shame. And now let the slideshow speak for itself. By finding and unlocking these memories, we're shown what kind of character the coach really is and the personal conflict he's going through. Through ludonarrative resonance, we are given so much character depth in just a few moments. And this is just the starting level. Aside from the coach, we get to explore 2 more minds in the camp. Let me point out that these particular mindscapes come from characters that have stable psyches. So, why point this out? Why make this distinction now? Well, in a world where you can go into people's heads, the difference between a stable and unstable mind should be an impactful experience. I feel like the devs of Psychonauts recognize this, and they use this contrast to enhance your gaming experience. And I think they try to do this by showing you that the difference between a stable and unstable mind is not just through presentation, but also through the gameplay itself. Now, let's start comparing and contrasting. I'll do a quick rundown of the next 2 stable psyches, so we get to appreciate how different the later unstable ones are. Enter Sasha's shooting gallery and Mila's dance party. Sasha's and Mila's minds continue to show what mindscapes have to offer, while introducing new gameplay features and world-building elements. Sasha's shooting gallery is focused on expanding combat by letting the player learn Psyblast to defeat sensors. A Psyblast is a range attack, and a sensor is a new type of enemy. Sensors, as described by Sasha, is an integral part of any sane person's mind. It hunts down and removes anything that doesn't belong in a person's psyche. This could include hallucinations, manias, and most of all, you. Specifically Raz. Anyway, let's get back on track and talk about Mila's dance party. This is one groovy mindscape with lots of lights, colors, and verticality. Her level is all about learning advanced movement through levitation, and it's even got a racetrack. Although her mindscape is pretty fun and upbeat, you'll find something really interesting if you look beyond the neon lights. There's one part of her mind that's purposefully hidden, a secret room. If you go in to explore, you'll get a pretty interesting reward. Inside, you'll find a memory vault called Mila's Children. She discourages you from looking further, and there's a pretty good reason why. I'll just let the scene do the talking. Mia's children. Oh, and this is why she's so good with kids. Oh no, no, no. Oh no. And if we go inside here.
Darling, what are you doing down here? The party is upstairs.
Oh no.
For you, I have my nightmares under control.
She has.
Things can take you to a world of pain practice. Now quit, let's get back to the party, okay? Darling, if you're looking for the makeout room, you
Oh,
found
not the
wrong
makeout
place.
room. As you can see, Mila's and Sasha's mind evoke a level of control which is expressed through level design and environmental storytelling. Sasha is able to compartmentalize his thoughts, while Mila is able to contain her negative emotions. These are what stable minds look like through the lens of the game. Now that we're done talking about the stable psyches, let me introduce the unstable ones, starting with one of my favorites, Lungfishopolis. Hold on, Lungfishopolis? We visit a fish's brain? I know, a giant fish monster isn't exactly a person, but hear me out. Linda, also known as the hideous hulkfish of Lake Oblongata, may not be a person, but she's been mutated enough to become a thinking and sentient creature. Besides, she's actually a gentle soul who's being mind-controlled. The devs take this concept and surprisingly translate it into pretty good level design. Lungfishopolis is easily one of the many moments where Psychonauts' playful experimentation shines, And here's why. Remember when I said that the game takes away some features to enhance your experience? Well, it comes into play right here. As you enter Linda's psyche, an interesting twist happens. It perceives you as the giant monster invading its mindscape. In this level, Raz is slower than usual and cannot use his levitation powers. This is to help you simulate that feeling of weight, the weight of being a giant monster going on a rampage. You can walk through small buildings and destroy them with ease. You get to climb skyscrapers while swatting off airplanes. And unfortunately, you can also step on the little fish citizens of Lungfishopolis and turn them into pancakes. Poor guys.
It's Gogglor! He hates children!
No, we don't. The jokes and dialogue in this level are top-notch. You can see that the devs definitely had fun with this one, and it would be a disservice to not show you some of the scenes.
Now you see the genius of our plan, Gogglor.
First we print flyers, then we spread them all over town with my blimp.
Winning over the hearts and minds of Lungfishopolis in as soon as 6 months.
Oh, that's too long.
If you don't like our plan, you can come up with another one.
Yes, we are busy.
That's too long,
we have to
guys.
select card stock and then find a decent but inexpensive printer within the week.
Now, we're at the point where we need to talk about Psychonauts' most iconic level, the Milkman Conspiracy. At one point in the game, you'll meet Boyd Cooper, a paranoid security guard who's often in his head thinking about conspiracy theories. A lot of conspiracy theories. When you enter his psyche, you'll find yourself in a twisted version of 1950s American suburbia filled with stalking eyes, hidden cameras, and a unique enemy called the G-Men. The G-Men are like CIA agents, monitoring everything and everyone. Like you, they're also looking for the Milkman and act as the main obstacle for this level. You'll have to take advantage of your newly found clairvoyance powers to get past these enemies. And this level is all about perception, how you see things, and how you're perceived. Clairvoyance is a pretty interesting ability, as you get to see the world through the eyes of another. Mechanically, it's there to help you solve problems related to the G-Men and other puzzles within Boyd's mind. The gimmick for most of this level is disguises. Find the right disguise and the G-Men won't bother you. If they're posing as, let's say, sewer workers, you'll have to match that or risk getting caught. Just like in Lungfishopolis, the dialogue for this level is amazing.
I see that you are grieving. I will give you your space.
Thank you. I guess. Okay, she sees us as a grieving widow.
I do not know whether to remarry or to remain loyal to my loved one.
Oh no. By the way, there's something you need to know about this level as well. Most areas don't really have sensors. As we've discussed, a sane person usually has sensors. Additionally, the game also warns you to have a cobweb duster ready, as Boyd has many mental cobwebs that need to be dealt with. Again, here's the game going the extra mile by being consistent with its ludonarrative resonance, adding, removing, and remembering existing features to immerse you. After you're done with the Milkman Conspiracy, the game will feature the residents of the Thorny Towers home for the disturbed. For example, a resident named Fred has his psyche taken over by his ancestor, the Napoleon Bonaparte. You need to help him defeat Napoleon in a strategic board game to regain control of his psyche. Next up is Gloria, a famous actress who's had a rough childhood. Her mood swiftly changes, and if that wasn't enough, you have to deal with her harsh inner critic that will do everything to sabotage your progress. Lastly, we have an artist named Edgar who can't seem to finish a painting. We learn later that due to obsession and rage, he's unable to find inner peace. This is represented by El Odio, a raging bull that's rampaging across his mind. As much as I want to delve into these mindscapes more, I hope we've covered enough details to get the point. I assure you, each level in the game is pretty solid and keeps that spirit of experimentation alive and well. So, after all that monumental amount of yapping, let's summarize why Psychonauts, to me, is a video game that matters. First, it's a game that embodies ludonarrative resonance, meaning that the game's narrative and themes are in harmony with the gameplay. Number 2, Psychonauts possesses this unique spirit of playful experimentation. It's not afraid to add or remove certain features that will make the game more fun and immersive. And finally, Psychonauts is simply a charming game. It has the humor and the wit of a Saturday morning cartoon, while being mindful of heavy themes that revolve around the psyche and mental well-being. When Psychonauts came out in the early 2000s, it felt like a platformer that wanted to go beyond the norm. Other platformers of the time felt more arcadey and put the narrative in the backseat. I guess the game stood out because it wanted to do more for the genre and maybe for gaming in general. And that's it! I hope this essay on Psychonauts sheds some light on the work developers put out there to make their game matter to us. But does this mean that all games should be like Psychonauts? Does every game need to have ludonarrative resonance or say something deep about the human condition? Well, no. In fact, some titles have made their mark in gaming history by choosing their own paths and executing them well, whether they focus on gameplay, on story, or a mixture of both. So, which video games do you think matter? Let me know about your spicy takes in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. By the way, if you're still here, I'd like to thank you personally for sticking around. It's my very first video, and I'd like to make this Video Games That Matter series a main thing for this channel. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. Again, many thanks to you, my spicy viewers.